I see somebody else liking the video. So good. That means you guys can hopefully see and hear me. So hello, everyone. It's me, Nadia. It's day 3 of the DNC. As I promised, I wanted to give you guys a daily recap of what my experience has been with the daytime meetings, because I know a lot of you are not tuning in necessarily to the daytime meetings. Everybody has very easy access to the evening productions that are on every major network, along with some cable channels such as CNN and possibly Fox. So because a lot of people are working during the day, they can't necessarily tune into the meetings. I said that I would recap the ones that I go to. But once again, if you are interested in going to some of those meetings during the day, because it is virtual, everyone can go. You do not have to be a delegate. You do not have to have any login. You can just go to demconvention.com, look at the schedule, and then choose what meeting you want to attend to. So it's really, really easy. So today, I actually went to 2 meetings. And again, I have copious notes. And the meetings that I went to actually overlapped. So at one point I had to listen to them side by side. So I woke up this morning and I said, I knew I wanted to go to the Black Caucus meeting because I didn't get to go on Monday. So I started out with the Black Caucus meeting, and then I saw that the Ethnic Council was also meeting today. Those two actually overlapped. So halfway through the Black Caucus meeting, I tuned into the Ethnic Council. And the meetings were quite night and day. So I have to say, the Ethnic Council was not at all what I expected it to be. But I really loved the Black Caucus meeting. Today, they were really honoring John Lewis. They had a lot of people that knew him, a lot of people that worked with him, marched with him. Everybody that they had on the stage today was pretty much coming with the singular message: vote. Vote in honor of John Lewis. Don't let his work be in vain. Don't move us backwards. So every single speaker that they had, and there were so many celebrities and high name politicians that came through: Cory Booker, a lot of politicians from Georgia, people, everyone that came through had the message. It is absolutely crucial to vote, and vote early. Make sure you're registered, make sure that your address is correct. If you need to change your party, make sure that's done. Make sure that you are ready on election day so that you don't have those issues. And if you are in a state that lets you vote early, vote as early as possible. Don't leave it till the very last minute, because I think there's going to be extremely long lines, and you have to have a lot of patience when you go to the poll, whenever you go. I think whether you're early voting or you're voting on the day of, it's probably going to be a lot of long lines. So you definitely want to just, as I always say for every election, pack your patience, and you want to have snacks. You want to go with someone. They can hold your place in line while you run to the bathroom. You hold their place in line while they go to the bathroom. Bring activities for your kids or have someone to watch the kids. But you definitely want to make this a group event and take as many in your circle as you possibly can. And that was the theme throughout. Cory Booker was there. Lori Lightfoot was there. A lot of people came through to honor him, and it was really, really nice. One person that I was surprised to see, pleasantly surprised, was Erica Alexander. Many of you may remember her from Living Single. She's gone on to make a great career for herself behind the scenes. So she actually has a production company, and she worked closely with John Lewis in 2016, and that work was actually the launching pad to her producing his film that's out right now called Good Trouble. So she talked a little bit about his impact on her, how that meeting led to her actually working closely to tell his life story. And she was, again, encouraging everyone to come out and rock the vote. And that was pretty much the theme for the first hour. Now, going into the second hour of their meeting, there were some panel discussions that were being had. And at the halfway point, that's when the Ethnic Council started meeting. So the Black Caucus met from 11 to 1, and the Ethnic Council met from 12 to 1. I ran those meetings side by side, and I have to say, you know, as someone that's been called ethnic with a negative connotation to it, I was expecting something more of like a diversity council, and it was anything but that. There was pretty much everybody at the table except Blacks and Chinese and Japanese and Indian. Like, I didn't see any of us, anyone that actually has color to their skin. I didn't see us at the table. So when they say ethnic, this was a group of people that the countries that were represented: Ukraine, Greece, Ireland, Italy, Albania, Croatia, Poland. They had, I think, Arab Americans for Biden, Serbs, Lithuania. These were the people at that table, and they are the ethnic council. So I was just like, okay, that's not quite what I expected when I jumped into the ethnic council. So I started listening a little bit at what they were saying. And again, I was running the meeting side by side with the Black Caucus, trying to hear a little bit from both. And they were just saying how a lot of their communities feel very overlooked in politics. And their discussion was, how do they play a strong role and how do they get people out for Biden? Now, what I found interesting is that all of these people from these collective countries came together at this table to make up the ethnic council, but then they also had their other groups, the Ukrainians for Biden and the Polish Americans for Biden. Like, they all had their subgroups, and then they all come together and pool their resources together to make the ethnic council. And they also exchanged ideas of what worked in their communities, what other communities might want to try to get the word out, one, for what their message is, for what they want as immigrants in this country, and what they want from their governments, and convincing their communities to vote for Biden. So I was listening to this conversation and I was getting a little upset. I'm just gonna be honest, because first the meeting didn't look like what I thought it was gonna look like. And then I was like, why aren't we at this table? Like, it was just interesting to me that they felt like they didn't have enough resources in their communities. They weren't getting their message across. And I'm like, at least you get to have a community. It was really weird. I'm thinking back to Black Wall Street, or I'm thinking like in the 2000s, there's been people who, bought a house in a too white neighborhood and somebody will burn the house down before they move in. Or just yesterday on YouTube, I was watching a video of a Black gentleman who had just gotten his lawn cut by a white gentleman. The white guy went in his truck, drove off. The Black guy's walking around checking the work. And then a cop comes by and is asking for his ID to prove that he lived there. Nothing was wrong. Nothing. I don't think anybody had called, but a cop sees a Black guy standing in front of a house or walking around checking the lawn. And he's like, oh, you must be up to no good. And the guy was a homo, so I'm thinking, like, at least you get to have communities. Like, too many Black people in a good neighborhood is often a problem. And it's not a comfortable situation, and it's not, laid back or welcome necessarily. So it was kind of night and day, what I thought this meeting was going to be. And then when I was there, seeing what they actually get to discuss. But in the fact that they were all coming together, pooling their resources. And I was just like, why are so many left out of the conversation? Like, how can you say you represent all ethnicities of America and you're missing quite a few? Like, I could just look at you and look at the names of your groups and see that you're missing quite a few. So it's very small, cliquish ethnic council, in my opinion. But coming down off of that attitude, I started tuning into what they're saying. I was like, well, Nadia, just see what they're talking about. And I loved what they were saying. I just, again, wish it was more inclusive, because again, they were coming together, each of them kind of giving a report of what they've done in their communities that they thought worked well and what might work in other communities. And they were saying things like, well, the strongest voices at the table were the Ukrainian Americans for Biden and the Polish Americans for Biden. Each of those groups had a representative there in the meeting doing most of the talking. And they were just talking about how they bridged the gap between them being here in the US and sending information to their respective families in their countries abroad. And so the eyes of the world are looking at us for many reasons, because the people that are here are still linked to their families and still sending information and either trying to get family over here or, just trying to make a better life for their families here in the US now. So they were very strong and they want a decisive win, because we all know that Trump is already making the case that, if he doesn't win, it's been rigged. So they were like, we must have a decisive win. We must get everybody out. There was one woman who was talking about people in her community that, initially they were Democrats, then they switched over to Trump's side, they voted for Trump, and now they're dismayed and they don't know what to do. So they were talking about how you win people back over to the Democratic side. They were talking about their media campaign, such a strong media campaign. And again, I'm listening to these meetings side by side. So I'm listening to all these tactics that the Ethnic Council has to get out the vote, to really get their voice heard, to get their issues heard. And at the Black Caucus, their conversation was literally how to get people to the poll, like carpool, pick up someone, take someone to the poll. Like, I was like, the conversations were so night and day, it actually made me a little bit sad, because here we are talking about the very basics of, if you can't afford to get to the poll or go pick up someone, pick up a family member, take 5 people. And, the Ethnic Council was way past that. They're like, okay, so I need signs in Polish for my business, and they're doing that. Like, they're putting ads in newspaper. They had already purchased 3 ads. Their ads were just displaying conversations and their truths of Trump is siding with Putin. Trump often says Ukrainians are bad, so they're trying to combat that. And essentially their motto, this was again mainly the Ukrainian Americans for Biden had the strongest voice at this meeting. So a lot of this came from one woman, but their message is a vote for Trump is a vote for Putin. So they're really trying to get Ukrainians back on board. If there's any that had switched to the Republican side, get them back on board. So she said that they had already purchased 3 ads and they were looking to pool their resources again to get at least 3 more ads. They also talked about something that I mentioned yesterday, that Trump is spending an incredible amount on social media ads. So they want to combat that with their own social media ads, just making sure that they're putting more of a truth out there. So they had a very aggressive media plan for that. They had an outline of what their ads should say. They had videos of what they want played. And they just seemed very organized. I loved how they were talking about putting signs in their local stores, in their communities, in their language. And again, I'm listening to this, and sometimes I'll be in different Facebook groups, and there's so much infighting in the Black community sometimes. Like, there's still people saying, well, I don't know what the difference between Biden and Trump is, so why even bother voting? Like, like, we're there. Like, a sign in somebody's shop probably isn't happening right now because there's not even a collective effort to get Biden in right now. So it's like, having a united message, having a united voice, putting your money together and really educating your community, it goes far. Like, this Ethnic Council seems to have gotten pretty far in getting their message out there, and they have a collective message. It always bothers me when I hear some Black Americans saying, Obama didn't do anything for Black people, or Trump has done more for Black people than Obama, which I don't even understand that. But, it bothers me when I hear that kind of language, because a lot of times I'll ask people, what's important to you? And the messages are across the board. And it's like, okay, if there's only one thing that a politician could do for you, what do you want that to be? You can ask 1,000 different Black people, you'll probably get a couple hundred different answers. Well, if there is not a singular issue that you are getting behind, then no, you're not going to get that singular issue because you don't have one. So there has to be a decided agenda with points of this is important, and then this, and then this, and then this. And I know there's a lot that needs to be done, but no one politician can come in and do everything. But if you can't pick your top 5, if you can't even get on a consensus on the top 5, then you're not going to see legislation geared for you, because you as a community, and I'm including myself too, but as a community, there has to be a common goal. And I see that in other communities, and we don't always do that. So when they were talking about what they wanted, they were clear, they were unwavering, and they have bullet points. And again, that's just what speaks to me. Like yesterday when I talked about stats and figures, like I don't want to hear one or two sob stories, because that may just be your sob story. I didn't lose my restaurant. I don't have to sell equipment or fire stat. Like that's not hitting me. But when you tell me 60% of Americans are affected by this, that's going to hit me, because that's a great deal of people. So again, the woman from Ukraine, she was the most vocal in this meeting. And so these were her points. She said, I don't want to hear from Joe Biden's staff. I want Joe Biden himself in explicit language to say, thank you, Ukrainian Americans, for Biden for supporting me. I stand with Ukraine. She said, I want Joe Biden to record that so we can put that in our social media messages. We can build a commercial around that, and he can clearly and explicitly say that I stand with Ukraine. Whether or not that happens, I don't know, but they were very clear that's what they want. She said there's over 700 members in her Ukrainian Americans for Biden group. They want a celebrity to come to their next meeting, and they also want a policymaker to come to their next meeting. The celebrity to use the platform, and the policymaker to really talk about what laws can be created, what can be done. They mentioned Madeleine Albright. Obviously, that's probably a long shot, but who knows? And they were even willing to give Joe Biden a script, if he could make just a 2-sentence video. Thank you for supporting me. I stand with Ukraine. And that doesn't seem like a big ask, although I don't know where Ukraine and US relations are. I can't remember if Ukraine is the country that kind of modeled us. I know there's a country in that region that also put in like a TV celebrity in their presidential role, like not long after Trump came along. And I was like, no, you don't want to go down this road. Aren't you watching us? It's not pretty. So I don't know if that was Ukraine or where, but Ukrainians seem to have a pretty strong voice. They definitely know what they want. And then the Polish population, they wanted targeted messages for their conservative voters that they are trying to win over. So apparently that's a huge issue in the Polish community. And another hurdle to overcome is that a lot of their community is Catholic. So of course, Catholics are voting essentially against abortion. I'm like, there's so much else on the ballot. Don't stay hung up on that one issue. And, I mean, I don't know. So I don't know. I guess that's the one issue. I'm like, but there's so much hate and there's so much else that goes along with having Trump in office. But, that's a conversation. Maybe some targeted media will help them. They felt like it would possibly. And then they also showed a video. Now I'm going to show the video myself. There's no sound on mine because I was just doing a screen grab. And during the video, I opened a window on my computer. So the screen grab is a little interrupted. But this is the video that they show routinely. This is kind of for all of America in my viewpoint, but they were like, this is the video that we play everywhere. This is what they have going on social media. And they wanted more pieces to add to this, specifically those Joe Biden videos. If he could do something for the conservative community and the Ukraine community, they're pretty much wanting to build a social media campaign around these two. Sorry for the screen grab, but and I think we've probably all seen this on TV. Like, I don't have cable, but this looks like something that would routinely be playing on TV. So to me, that wasn't specific to the Ethnic Council, but maybe they produced it. I'm not really sure. I can tell you that this video is a lot more diverse than the people that were sitting in that meeting, that's for sure. And here you go again. Stay connected. Text ethnic to 30330. So pretty much any meeting that you go to, everybody has their own little keyword that you can text to 30330 and get more information just about that segment. But again, I'm sure I only did it once and I get a whole lot of text messages. So just, take that word with a word of caution. So, and I think that's all the notes I took today, but yeah, it was pretty interesting. It was interesting today. I really had to quickly get out my feelings and find the value of what I was listening to. And I like the way that they came together. I like the way that they were all working together, pooling their resources, pooling their ideas. And it all started with them in their separate communities being largely on the same page. Obviously, there's Republicans in every branch, and everybody in their branch is trying to overcome that. But largely, there's a similar page to where they've actually got a movement going, particularly with advertising, with media, with social media, with signage, buttons that they have passed out in their communities that people are wearing. And, there was a common goal at the end. So it would be great if my own community was this collectively involved and united. I don't feel like we always are, but it was nice to see what a council could look like when you can have these strong conversations of this is what we've done and this is what we're doing next. Now, one thing I did like in the Black Caucus meeting is they were talking about either today or tomorrow is like the 100th anniversary of the voting rights, but or women's voting rights. But of course, Black women were not included in that bunch until like much later. So they were giving the stats on nationwide across the board, how many seats there are up for election, and Black women are just such a small percentage of that, whether you're talking about, state house, or you're talking about in the federal government or on the benches. The Black women are such a small percentage of that in any given level. So they were encouraging women to run for office. They were encouraging any men on the line to go back and encourage the women in their communities to run for office, because we are very underrepresented when it comes to Black women in leadership, Black women holding any type of elected seat. And I thought that was pretty strong and powerful, because that's not something that I often think about. And that's about the time that the Chicago mayor came in and spoke about how people look to her not only as a Black woman mayor, but as an LGBTQ member of the community and being a mayor. So a lot of people look up to her because their kids have someone that they can cling to and look up to. And she's just been such an influence in several different communities: women, Black women, LGBTQ community. So it was nice to hear her speak. Every time I hear her speak, I kind of cringe. I'm like, you should be out fighting crime in your city. But but being the mayor of a major city, she's been at a lot of these meetings all week. But I just, of course, she never talks about what's actually going on in her city. It's always a glossed over speech about whatever that council meeting that she's at is about. But seriously, I'd love to know what is going on in Chicago. Like, it's from the outside looking in, it doesn't look too good. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so that was my 2 experiences today. I received a late text message saying that there was a phone call with Harry Reid that's starting in 4 minutes. So now I'm going to hop off of here. I don't see any comments. So hi, Karen. Karen, I see that you commented. Nadia, I see that you commented. I don't see any questions. So since I don't see any questions, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here. But please tune in tonight. And actually, before I go, let me tell you who the lineup tonight is, because tonight is literally my favorite night of the convention. I have been waiting for this night all week. So let me go to the schedule. Again, it's demconvention.com. Going to make sure that you're on Wednesday. And last night was really good with that Behind the Rhyme. They're doing that again. So 5 o'clock p.m., 8765. Yeah, 5 o'clock p.m., Behind the Rhyme. It's younger people. Normally, it's usually a bunch of DJ sets back to back, but within the DJ sets, they put in some interviews. So last night, Uncle Luke talked quite a bit with the DJ that he's friends with, and he was talking about how he and Kamala Harris actually had a sit down because he was extremely critical of her. And he ran for the mayor of Miami back maybe 2 cycles ago. And because he has such a voice in that southern region, she actually reached out to him and they had a conversation. And, he got a lot of respect for her, just for her reaching out and saying, I want to hear your concerns and address them directly. Most of us don't have that benefit, but it was nice that he did. And he's now a great supporter of her. So they do have another Behind the Rhyme presents Your Voice, Your Vote And I would say still check it out, even if you're not in the age bracket that's quite a target. I was still very entertained and inspired. The convention starts at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, 8 o'clock p.m. Central. And tonight is going to be Elizabeth Warren, performance by Billie Eilish, don't know Billie, and then Nancy Pelosi, and then Hillary Clinton, and then Governor Tony Evers, Governor Grisham, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, then a performance by Jennifer Hudson, then a performance by Prince Royce, and then Senator Kamala Harris is going to speak, and then President Obama is the headliner. So tonight, I love pretty much every speaker on the lineup tonight. And of course, you know, Hillary Clinton is my highlight, and Barack Obama is a nice second. So so I've been waiting for tonight all week. So I will be tuned in. You see, I've got my royal blue on today. I can't remember what I wore the first day, but yesterday I wore purple because red and blue makes purple. I'm, you know, all for unity. Our parties need to unite. So, you know, taking it back to elementary school, red and blue makes purple. You know, let's unite. And I've got on my royal blue today. I'll have on my royal blue tomorrow for the acceptance speech, of course. And yeah, it's been a fun ride. I think they've done a good job with what they had to work with virtually. And I feel tuned in to as much as I could be. I guess if I was in a conference hall, I'd be running around like crazy trying to make all these meetings if they were even in the same location. So I don't actually know how it would have worked in person, but it is nice to be able to tune into different meetings and see what the different voices and communities are saying. So I've enjoyed it, you know, still got dressed up every day just like I was there. And yeah, it's been a thrill. So thank you guys for tuning in. If I hear something in the Harry Reid call that I feel like I need to report back, I certainly will. Otherwise, you'll catch my final recap tomorrow. Bye.